Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Resilient Show. If we look tired, Jordan Mulligan is our guest today. We've been going for, we started early this morning doing B-roll content and interviewing for his show, the Mulligan Brothers show. So I was a guest for their show today during recording. We went to jiu-jitsu, went to the range, shot some Smith & Wesson guns, some Vortex optics, and gave him his first experience of blowing stuff up with tannerite.
Yeah, man. It's been a fun day already.
Yeah.
But it has been a long one.
It's been a long one, yeah. So right now it's, I think it's like 10 p.m. here.
Yep.
So if we have rings under our eyes, that's why. And we'll try not to nod off, and we'll keep it interesting and exciting. But we're going to start off with, for those that don't know Jordan, you should know him. Incredible background. I'm going to just read his bio because I think it's, I don't want to miss anything in it. So Jordan Mulligan is a film director and CEO of Mulligan Brothers, where he produces inspirational documentaries that promote change and resilience worldwide. Jordan grew up in a council estate, which is government housing in Nottingham, and was one of 7 children raised by a single mother. By age 21, he owned multiple businesses and opened a gym in his hometown. After losing your son in stillbirth, you sold all your businesses to pursue telling inspirational stories of athletes, heroes, and special individuals through documentary film and content on YouTube. This led to the co-founding of Mulligan Brothers, where you and your brothers have produced films with over 350 million views and are now creeping up on 2 million subscribers on YouTube. In 2018, you opened Mulligan Brothers Studios and founded the Jude Films Productions Company, named after your mother and son, where you currently are producing 2 feature documentaries. You've also recently founded the Jacob Mulligan Charity in honor of your son to help others experiencing a similar loss of stillbirths. Your fundraising efforts led you to compete at the Arnold Strongman show in the Rogue Record Breakers, and you set the world record in the Atlas Stone. I think you're a little bigger than you were.
I was a little bigger than
360 pounds and 6'7".
Yeah.
So you big man, and you beat the record holder at the time, Mitch Hooper. He was the world's strongest man, and currently you're in pursuit of your toughest challenge to date, and you're going to be setting out to compete in the world's heaviest marathon, carrying a 220-pound stone for 26.2 miles, a full marathon with 220 pounds on your back. That stone will then be cut to a headstone for your son, and then you're going to carry it, that headstone, for another 450 miles over 10 days to raise money for the Jacob Mulligan Charity and provide headstone. And you're doing that in order to provide headstones for the bereaved parents of those who lost their children as well. That's freaking pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I was when I learned this about you, I knew
it's cool to be able to do it.
Yeah. It's amazing, and that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
but it's a lot of weight in the stone, but it's a lot of weight in carrying the burden of all these families and being able to do something for them. So I'm just meeting you today, but I can tell you with that, man, I'm super proud that you're doing that. It's incredibly awesome.
I appreciate that a ton, man. I really do appreciate you saying that a ton.
Well, before we get started and diving into this, because I want to break down all the things in your bio, one of the first things we do here on the show is give out gifts. We got a lot of good gifts. It's kind of like Christmas morning every time we kick off a show here. And one of the things I wanted to send you away with a Smith & Wesson rifle with a Vortex scope, which we have sat here. But because you live in Britain,
yep,
we can't do that.
I can't fly through the airport with that, unfortunately. No. That's not gonna happen.
You guys can see what he's giving up. But he has a new friend here in Texas, and you can come here and shoot anytime.
I'm back. We're gonna get some tannerite from the local store and blow it up again. So yeah, I'll be back for that for sure.
It was pretty funny. We went to this local store, and he's like, "Wait, you could buy explosives and milk and a gallon of milk at the same store?" I'm like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you be able to? And we asked the guy. I was like, I never asked before, so I asked the guy there. I'm like, hey, is there a limit? Like, how much can I buy tannerite? I can buy? He's like, you can buy it all. And you seen what just 2 pounds could do.
Yeah, it is powerful stuff. Yeah. Like, it really does shock you when it goes off. I mean, I was kind of shocked. So the fact that you could have bought, how many pounds were down at the store?
We bought 10 pounds, but there was definitely probably 200 pounds on the shelves.
It would have done some damage. Yeah, there would have been a crater in the field.
You could blow up a home.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
but we didn't. We just had some fun with it, and so. You're not taking a Smith & Wesson, and you have to come back here for it. But we have a BioPro is one of the sponsors of the show, and all our sponsors, we have great sponsors, Smith & Wesson, Vortex, BioPro, and others I'll mention. But, man, our sponsors, love our guests and want to help you in any way they can. And so one of the things about BioPro is it's so many amazing athletes that I know through MMA and jiu-jitsu take this. I don't have the nighttime with you, so I have to mail the nighttime, but I started taking it. I don't promote anything I don't take personally. I won't use personally. I just don't believe in that. And so I tried it for months before, like 6 months before, and I had a lot of friends advocating for it. And it really helped my conditioning, recovery, but mostly it helped my sleep. I was sleeping like 5 hours a night, and now I'm sleeping like 9 hours a night. So sleep's so important. So we'll get you a supply of BioPro for daytime and nighttime. It helps for anti-aging, recovery, libido, which, you're a strong man, so you probably don't have any issues there. But all kind of things, but definitely your sleep. So I hope you enjoy that.
Amazing.
And Gators Glasses. So Gators Glasses is a company that we're partnered with, and I've used them for years in the military, and so this is a pair of ballistic lenses. I know you said you want some ballistic lenses.
Yeah. So this, again, I'll have to come out here to make sure these are getting used properly, but thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
And they just feel incredible. Yeah, so thank you so much for these. I needed a pair of shades. Unfortunately, I can't use them with a gun, but I'll bring them back out and we'll get them used, but they look amazing, mate.
If a spring flats out your camera.
Yeah. You're spring. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And so this is like a tablet or
it's a little, you pop one out and you shake it and you let it sit under your tongue for about 90 seconds.
Okay.
When you first do it, it's going to burn.
Yep.
You get used to it after a while. And kind of so you hold it in your mouth for like 90 seconds. A good pro tip is don't sneeze.
Right.
So I sneezed and like I said, it burns. I sneezed and I tried to hold it. And so I held my nose and held my mouth and it came out my tear ducts. And it was like pepper spray. Right. So Joshi, who's our camera guy, is like, man, you should have got that on video. I'm like, but so you just do one every day. It's to have, and this is a 30-day supply. And I do it right when I wake up in the morning, and then nighttime ones I do it right before bed.
Wow.
And
okay.
You can find a lot more on the website for BioPro, but essentially it's they get the product off of a live velvet off of deer antlers, which is old Eastern medicine. It's nothing new or kooky. Yeah. It's old Eastern medicine, and it helps your human growth hormone, your HGH, produce at a level it needs to produce for whatever you're dealing with, and gives you all these benefits. And,
wow.
UFC allows it for their athletes. USADA, so it's not restricted, and a lot of UFC and IBJJF and Jiu-Jitsu is pretty popular in that community. All kind of people take it, and I'm pretty sold on it. And I also get sold on supplement stuff very easily. Yeah. One more gift, and this is the first time I think we give it out on episodes. You did it first. Is a BioAccelerator in Colombia. BioAccelerator in Colombia is a stem cell company. There's only 2 companies in the world that I believe really are doing stem cell the right way. There's one out in Panama. It's been talked about on Joe Rogan, and then on Joe Rogan they also talked about BioAccelerator. UFC sends a lot of guys down there. It's the company out of Arizona. Eric Scoffers is the CEO. Okay. And I've developed a great relationship with him. Went down myself, and I had miraculous results. Unfortunately, in the United States and a lot of major countries, big countries where they have big pharmaceutical companies and lobbyists, it's not allowed to be used. They don't want to heal people; they want to medicate people, and so or have surgery.
Yeah.
So this is a very ethical and safe way to prevent surgery. And I know you're going to be carrying around that 220-pound stone. Yeah. I know you had some injuries already.
We're harboring some damage already. Yeah. So this sounds incredible.
So let's get you down to Colombia, get you out to see Eric and the team at BioAccelerator, and get you pumped full of some good stem cells.
Thank you so much for that. I cannot thank you enough. That's incredible.
Yeah, you're going to love the trip. Medellin, Colombia. It's an awesome place. You'll love it.
Wow.
So.
Humbled. Honestly, I'm excited to come, talk on here today, but to receive all these gifts is just incredible. So thank you so much.
Enjoy it. Like I said, we had some great sponsors, and they definitely wanted to support you.
Thank you to all the sponsors. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm super proud that Smith & Wesson Firearms is a supporter of this show. I have been shooting Smith & Wesson Firearms since I was a kid. This is one of America's most patriotic companies that has been around 170 years. So the Resilient Show is honored to partner with Smith & Wesson. I personally use Smith & Wesson Firearms every day for my everyday carry. I keep Smith & Wesson Firearms in my home for my home defense. And when I'm out on the range, practicing, shooting, and staying sharp with my firearm skills. So check them out, and I hope you join me in carrying one of America's most iconic firearms. Hey guys, 10 years ago, I had found myself in a position to where, investing in Mighty Oaks and all the different things I'm involved in, I had found myself not prepared for retirement. And I went to my friend Ryan Wheelis at Allied Wealth. He had been a longtime supporter of Mighty Oaks Foundation from the beginning. He's one of our first donors to Mighty Oaks and has been a friend for a long time. And I really trusted him. And he has helped me build my retirement and invest in my future through his company, Allied Wealth. He's one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to wealth management, and has taken money that I had stuck away in 401ks that was not really producing and made it produced tenfold. And I'm so happy with the results for me that I asked him to partner with this show, and he is a partner of this show now. And we want to not only let you guys know about Allied Wealth, but we're going to be doing some special episodes on wealth management with Ryan helping co-host them. I say co-host. I'm going to be asking him questions, and we're going to be providing you information on how to best manage your wealth. So if you're like me and you need someone to help you with your retirement, with your investments, with just your overall wealth management, go to alliedwealth.com and meet Ryan and his team to get you set up. So kind of break down what we're going to cover today. I want to cover, obviously, Mulligan Brothers and what you guys are doing there. I really want to talk about your family. I'm super interested in learning about your family and how you grew up, and then I want to talk about the loss of your son and how that inspired you to do this marathon and the 450 miles and pushing this charitable event, because I think those things are super important, and I want to make sure people are aware of it and how they can be involved.
Man. Yeah, thank you.
And then, but I want to start off with your childhood. You grew up in a council estate, which for those in the American audience, that would be like government housing. In Nottingham. And so, you're looking at your life and where you're at right now and the success you had, and you growing up in a place like that, Mitch, you probably had maybe a rough upbringing or a rough childhood.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So a council estate, yes, government housing in the UK. And it was rough. It's what we knew. It was, it was rough. Like street fights, knives is a huge thing in the UK. So there's a lot of knife violence and a lot of street fights, and it was not a lot of money, no money. But similar to we spoke today, and my mum was unbelievable hiding us from that. So I didn't really realize we didn't have any money. We felt like we had everything. We had, there's 4 of brothers and 2 sisters. Like I had friends, we had fun and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was. It's only looking back now, realizing that we grew up in that situation, and some of our peers, who ended up in different situations, where we realized, how fortunate we've been. We've had a lot of opportunity, and we've taken those opportunities and ran with them as fast as we could. So yeah, it's been a good journey so far.
One of the things as I was learning about your story that really interested me was your mom.
She's incredible. She
has to be, right? She's not only was it 7 of you, but she was a single mom.
Yeah, single
raising
mom.
you guys in government housing. Which there had to be a lot of struggle for her, and she clearly did a good job with meeting your sister today and seeing how great people you guys are. Like I want to learn about your mom. I want everybody to know about your mom.
My mum's 5'2", and she was a punk. She used to have this massive Mohican, and
I like it even more.
She was absolute bad. She was absolute bad, and she was a nurse for the NHS. She really high in her profession. She ran it was called Open Doors, and I wasn't born at the time. It was called Open Doors, and it was to help alcoholics and drug users. And she ran that. And
did she have that background herself? Like
no.
She recovered from it? Not at all. She had a heart for it.
Yeah. She just had a heart for it. She's the purest, kindest person you'll ever meet. And then her first son, similar to the situation to me, was stillborn. My oldest brother Jason was stillborn. And there's a full circle moment there when I eventually lost Jacob with my mum, where she was incredible, the help that she gave me. But when that happened to her, her world, kind of fell apart. My dad is not the greatest of guys, and was already putting her through the ringer, like with stress, not being there for us. When Jason died, he was not in a good place at all. So that had a massive impact. And then my mum's mental health declined, and she lost her job, or she had to do early retirement. And there's a thing like when you have a stillborn baby, especially when it's your first stillborn, you think the solution is to have more children. So that my mum speaks to that. There's probably 7 of us,
Yeah.
So she started having children, and she felt much happier. She found a purpose in life, and then my dad continued to mess about and ruin her life, and he eventually left. I've spoken about this publicly as well. He remortgaged the house that we were living at the time, at the peak of the housing market, just before the crash. He got a ton of money out and then ran away with all the money and left my mum in with like £100,000 worth of debt. And through all of that, we never felt like we had less. We always felt like we had enough. We always were fed. We always went to sports clubs. She drove us everywhere. We all felt loved. And it was in this absolute chaos. There was like gangsters coming to the door to try and get debts off my dad because they thought he lived with us. He hadn't lived with us for since I was like 3 or 4 years old. But they'd come to my mum because they thought they could get money from her. And she sheltered us all from it. Like, honestly, we had the greatest childhood. And so that just speaks to the power of my mum. Like, she's just the strongest woman you would ever meet. And she's 5'2". She hates me saying that, but she's tiny. She's so small, but she's the strongest person I know by far, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Being, one of 7, watching your mom like endure that. There's so many single moms out there. Like, somebody listening. What would you say to a single mom that's currently in it, like grinding through depression and struggle and hardship? Like they're trying to make it. I mean, I'm sure at some moments, like your mom probably felt it, right? Like just feel like, how am I going to wake up and do this each day tomorrow? Like, what would you say to those moms that are just selflessly like giving and grinding it out for their kids?
Well, I know this now from speaking to my mum recently.
Yeah.
So I watched my mum for most of my life sleep on the sofa of our house to give us an extra bed upstairs so we had enough beds to sleep in. And she would wake up after 4 hours of sleep and get up and prepare meals and breakfast and everything for us kids. I saw her count pennies and scrimp and, do all the worst things imaginable to try and, the most difficult things imaginable to try and keep a normal situation, a stable situation for ourselves. And it must have been incredibly hard. And I don't know how she felt at the time in terms of whether it was worth it or whether it'd pay off. But in recent years, I spoke to my mum and she said that, it was all worth it. Seeing us flourish now and seeing us being able to be in a situation where we're not in the same situation we were as kids. I'm able to provide my son whatever he wants. And to see all her children grow up to be business owners and athletes and all this kind of stuff has been the biggest payoff for her. So I would say, if you're going through that really tough situation, a really dark moment, the platform you're providing your children in stability, because you could just not do that and they could live a life, which happens to so many people. But if you are grinding and putting that real hard work, you're providing your children with a foundation and stability where they'll be able to flourish, and you'll be able to break this generational curse that some people have to face, where it's a constant cycle. You're going to break the cycle. Giving that platform to children will definitely break the cycle. And like I say, I didn't know any different. As a kid, I thought I had a great childhood. Yeah,
I think a lot of people, like when you're in the midst of a struggle, and it could be any kind of struggle, but as a parent, like grinding through that, you feel like when you miss that, you feel like it's going to be this way forever.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's not. These are seasons, right? So
seasons, I love seasons. I think that's right. Yeah.
Knowing that it won't be this way forever, it's an investment, and man, what better investment than it could be than to invest in your children.
And with a situation like that investment takes a long time. You got to put. So it's not lost on me as mothers. You've got to look after a child for a long time, and kids, we're selfish.
Yeah.
You don't get much back at the start.
No.
But it will pay off in the future. I think that. So if I could remind them, that's where. Now I tell my mum every single day, we would not have been able to do this without you. We love you to absolute bits, and for many other reasons as well with my mum, I'm I'm here today. Like, she saved me in some of my darkest moments now. So, but yeah, the initial thing through that platform of just having the foundation as a kid is just the best thing. Yeah.
I would say an 18-year investment, but I have adult children. So I know it goes beyond 18 years. You work with your brothers, and originally reading your stuff, I'm like, it's 3 of you, but then meet your sister today, and all of you're involved here. So what's it like to work with your siblings? I mean, some people would probably hate working with their siblings. Yeah. Some people probably love it. It's probably no in between.
It has been a learning curve. I would say it's the best thing. I'd start with that. It's the best thing. A lot of people say don't work with family, don't work with friends. The one thing I have with my brothers is I completely trust them. I know they got my back. And that, to me, that's the most important thing. My sisters are the same. My 2 sisters work for us as well. Neve is an absolute beast. Like, she absolutely destroys work. She's just like us. And
she can shoot.
And she can shoot.
Yeah, we've learned that today.
Yeah, she can shoot. She can shoot good. And then my sister Erin's like heart of gold as well. So like knowing that somebody's got your back at any time and you've got that trust, for me, is probably one of the most important qualities in somebody I'm going to work with. Yeah. So that's really important. The hard stuff comes in the conflict. So of course, it's hard to have conflict with family and the people that you love. But, we know our roles. We know what we're supposed to do. And I think we take that very seriously now. It's taken a few years to understand roles and responsibilities. But once we understood that, it's like we're flying, and it's the best thing because we all have the same vision, which means, every single day there's 3 people and my 2 sisters, but there's 3 brothers who are passionately pursuing something with, a lot of hard work. And when you yourself, you do a lot of work, Chad. Like I'm impressed by how much output you have. If you have 3 of you, it's even more, and that's where I'm really blessed to have 3 versions of me working. I could definitely
use 2 more.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. But I got Joshi.
You need that clone machine, yeah.
We love you, Joshi, but I think there's a lot of value in that, just having that trust.
Trust is massive,
It's massive because you could find good employees all the time, hard workers, but if you don't have trust, it's hard to move forward.
Because you can forgive a bad decision if it was done with the right intention. Yeah, and I'm not for having tons of bad decisions being made. Like if there's loads of mistakes being made, we're going to have a conversation. But if it was done with the right intention, I can forgive it, and we can find a way to move forward. When the intention's wrong, or it's done with when there's no trust there, that's when it's really difficult. And we spoke earlier about, I guess, abandonment and trust issues and things like that. That's where I struggle to let people in the team. And that's a new phase for me, allowing people to come in and trusting people outside of my family is a very difficult thing to do. Trust is right up there. Because the company means everything to me, because I think it's got a really important purpose behind it. Yeah. So it's the purpose that I see. It's not the company, it's more the purpose. So have you got the company's best intentions when you're making a decision? And if I find somebody like that, that's fantastic. We can get on a house on fire. So I love that.
As far as the 3 brothers go, what are the age? Where you fall in age?
So I'm the eldest of the 3 brothers. I've got an older brother who doesn't work for us, Joe. He's my older brother.
Is that why you're the CEO? Is it by default of age, or
just age? No, it's it suits me better. It suits me better. It's my kind of. I like to take charge and. Not in a egotistical way, but I like to make the decisions. I like to push things forward. I'm an executor. I like to get stuff done. So then my other brother Luke is the next eldest. He has a lot of influence on the company as well. So me and him come together on quite a lot of things and work through it. And then William is just creative genius. Runs the Everyday Stoic, writes books. Just pure talent.
He's the one that has a book coming out with Penguin Random House.
So they're out now. So that's in Barnes and Nobles and Waterstones and all the big bookstores.
What's the title?
The Everyday Stoic.
The Everyday Stoic.
Yeah, by William Mulligan. Yeah, and really good book. I don't know if do you know about Stoicism?
No.
No. Okay, I'm not going to butcher it because William would kill me if I got it wrong. But it's a philosophy that helps you regulate or deal with life. Deal with life. And
So it's it follows
Greek philosophers and Marcus Aurelius and people like that. And William knows all about it, and I don't know that much. So that's why I didn't write the book.
No, I'm gonna go grab it.
We'll send you some copies out. Yeah, we'll send you some copies out. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So with the company, million subscribers. Well, I say million subscribers. You guys approaching 2 million subscribers, and just on YouTube alone. And then you guys are 350 million views on your content. That's what I researched out. But for those who had not tuned in to Mulligan Brothers film or documentary, can you tell us about the mission, purpose, and what do you guys actually do, as a company? I know a lot of it's not just. There's a lot of it's mission, purpose behind it.
So, I mean, with the company, there's a lot. There's different aspects. There's Jude Films as well, and they all fall under the umbrella Mulligan Brothers. The simplest way of describing it is our mission is to inspire change through film or content. So when I say inspire change, we want to create content that genuinely, when you receive a message from somebody and it says, "Hey, Chad, I listened to this video and I stopped doing X, Y, and Z," or it helped me. I was suffering with sleepless nights because of PTSD or stress or whatever it is. That to me is true impact. And so we want to create film and content that has that. So coming out to talk to you and speak about your situation, you have an ability to connect with a certain type of person who is on our audience. And it's my duty to go get those stories all around the world, whoever that is, to share with the audience and make that connection. And that's it really. That's the center of it all. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, feature films, whatever it is. Everything that we do is to deliver that mission, inspire change. It sounds kind of corny, the inspire change mission, but it is genuinely the corner of it all. Yeah,
not at all to me, because I'm a public speaker.
Yeah,
write books and run this podcast. The reasons I do it are for the same reasons to inspire change. And even though I'm in this space, one of the things I don't like, and no offense to anyone that does it, but I just personally don't connect with it, is just motivational speaker. When somebody calls me a motivational speaker, I feel like the need to correct right away.
Yeah.
I don't have a desire to motivate people. I have a desire to make people make a decisive change in their life. And so I don't believe in just inspiring people. I don't believe in just motivating people. I want to challenge people in a way that'll make them act.
Yeah.
And so as I got to know about your content more, I realized that was a big part of what you guys do. You want to see people actually
take action,
not just be inspired, but take action. And I love that.
The thing is with motivation, so we have historically created motivational videos, like a little bit more, your generic get up and go kind of videos. And we've progressed to documentary work because I feel documentary film is the most powerful medium in the world. I think books are great. I think music's fantastic. But I think for me, documentary film is that one that can really have a massive impact on people.
Well, you're able to touch people and through all the sensories.
Through all of them, exactly that, yeah.
And really just emotionally connect with people.
And it's real. It's this, documentary film is trying to document something. That's, the whole point of it. But the motivational videos we have created historically will get you through a workout. It's gonna help you do a workout, a singular workout, a run, things like that. It's not long lived. So, we try and cover all bases, but for us, it's like, if this can have an impact on your life,
right,
that's where it's really valuable. And that's the thing we're constantly chasing, to try and have that piece of content that just changes one person's lives. But when it's, we get a few different messages through, or a lot of people say it, that's, we're doing our job at that point, that's, it excites me a lot.
I haven't asked you this, and this wasn't even a question I had queued up, but how do you, I'm going to say I hadn't asked you this because I became a subject of you guys' documentaries. We just finished ours. Like, how do you pick the people? Like, I didn't ask you this. I didn't ask you how you found me. Like how do you pick the people? Is there a process you have, or you just wait for people to come across your radar?
Yeah, a lot of it is stumbling across something.
Yeah.
Usually it's a clip on Instagram, like I've seen, and if I felt it resonated. And I think that, for me, that's our gauge. It's the gauge of all the content on Mulligan Brothers. It's why it's difficult to hire people, because it's hard to articulate to them what I think the audience needs to hear.
Right.
Because I feel it. I really feel when I'm uploading a video on Instagram or TikTok, or even all the long-form content on YouTube, I feel it's right. and I know that it's going to help somebody and it's going to have impact. So when I stumble across somebody who does that to me, I know straight away. I'm like, that I want him on the show. So it's it's quite easy like that. But we are in search of everybody. You know, I think that behind our camera, you say there's, you know, close to 2 million people there now. Yeah. That's a lot of different people. You know, they don't all think the same. They don't all feel the same. They've not all had the same experiences. Yeah. They've had different lives. So to find people who connect with 2 million people it's not going to be one person. It's going to be a variety of people. Yeah,
I definitely believe in that. That's why when I'm looking for guests, as we strategically like line out guests, and then we not only pick certain ones, but as we roll those episodes out, we don't want to have like 4 of the same type of guests. We want to kind of roll them out differently. Of the years you've been doing this, do you have any standouts, any favorite ones? I mean, you don't have to mention me because I'm sitting right here, but you had to have some that really just struck out to you.
There's only one I really bring up because I think all my guests are amazing. Like I genuinely believe like we've been here today. I'm gonna go home with so much. I get to absorb some of your story, your life story. Mm-hmm. Like that's such a luxury to me, and my audience gets to do the same. So I don't think I could choose between any of the guests, but there was one that had a lot of impact on me, and it was a church pastor called Owen Manus, and he's out in LA. He runs a church called the Mosaic, and we had this conversation, and the camera's cut for a bit. They were still rolling, so it's captured on camera, but the camera's cut for a bit. His son went for a break. He was on the podcast as well. And he was just asking me about my son and how he'd passed. I'd said to him how I visited the grave all the time. And I do that because I feel so much pain. And the pain that I'm feeling is how much love I had for Jacob. And he's the first person who stopped me and says, the pain you're feeling is not how much love you have for your son. I don't want to butcher this, but he was basically saying that it was because I hadn't managed to process it. And he said, although that pain is so powerful, it allows you to do what you do, and you're able to have a massive impact on the world. I promise you, if you can let go of that, you know, your son isn't at that grave. If he's anywhere, he's in the sky. He's not buried in the ground. Right. Once you can do that, you'll start to feel the love for your son, and you'll use the power of the love for your son. And I promise you do better things, and I promise you'll be more powerful. And I've butchered that a little bit, but that is what kind of, you know, verbatim what he said. But it was incredibly powerful. Like, it's changed my whole life. Like, and it was like day and night. And I realized that going to my son's graveside, because I'd go every week. I'd go to my son's grave every week, and I was like, I'm serving my son here. He can see me. I'm in pain, and I need to show that I'm in pain, because if I show that I'm in pain, he knows I'm in pain, and I don't feel guilty because he knows how much it hurts me that he's gone. And then I start to realize that even if he was watching, he wouldn't want me to see me in pain. He'd want me to see me happy. Yeah. And I stopped going to the grave. I still go to the grave every so often, but I stopped going to the grave weekly to sit there and cry at his graveside. I stopped doing that, and I started to move with more love in my heart for Jacob. Yeah. So I tried to find, he said, try and find something that you do that you can feel love for your son, and you'll start to feel the passion come out. You start to feel, so now when I make the films or make the documentaries, or even if I'm training for this event at the moment, I mean, the training for this event is the biggest one. Yeah. I'm not sad. I'm not doing it like I'm sad my son's gone. I'm carrying this stone as punishment for my son dying. I'm doing it purely out of pride. Like, I've got that stone on my back. I can feel him looking down on me in the sky, and I just feel an abundance of love, and I can move. I can take a step every single time. Like, even if I'm coming to a halt, like, I can just think of him watching me, and I can keep going. So that must be my favorite guest, you know, just because it led to that situation.
Very personal.
Yeah, personal. Yeah. So
can I share like a personal belief with that, with your son? As I heard this story, I was very happy to hear that you named your stillborn son. Yeah. Not his name Jacob, but I'm happy to hear you named. Not everyone does that. My son Hunter, you met today. He named his from a miscarriage. He named his son, and the reason we did that is because I believe, you know, I'm a Christian. You know that from today. I believe in life at conception.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe. That's why I'm big. People that follow me, I'm very much pro-life.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm pro-life is not because I care about the politics of abortion or where that falls and where, but I believe at life at conception, and believe God breathes life into a child at that moment of conception. So, and why that's significant, what I'm gonna say is because whether it's 1 week, stillborn, or 98 years old, we are created in a being, a spiritual soul at that moment. So, when Jacob, left this earth, his soul is still eternal forever, and one day you will have a life and relationship with him, even though you missed it in this world. And as humans, we're so tied to this world right now. And as Francis Chan kind of talked about this with the rope on stage, but like if this red line right here went forever, that first pixel, that little dot of that pixel would be your life on earth. And even if Jacob was here with you, that whole time you guys would have together would be in that one pixel, but the time you guys will have together is eternal. And as you have that joy instead of that sorrow, it should be knowing that you are going to have life with him. You're going to have eternal. And this seems like forever while we're here, but it's a speck in time, and you're going to have eternity with him. I believe that personally. I believe that for you and your son. You guys are going to have that together.
I mean, I spoke to you, earlier today about these are the conversations I've been struggling with recently, especially around faith, and I'm starting to really feel that and embody that. And with Jacob, he's had such a profound effect on me and impact on me.
I'm pulling up a Bible.
Yeah, no, it's. I had this conversation the other day actually because it was Father's Day recently, and I said I felt robbed of fatherhood, and I started to realize that actually I've had a relationship with Jacob. He's still around me. He still has this impact on me massively, and I owe it to him to be a father to him by teaching him how to be a man, teaching him how to be a good man through teaching myself. Yeah. And this has been a huge thing that's happened to me recently, again, after speaking to Erwin, that I'm still having to do these things. And it's only because of Jacob. I got for Jacob on my hand because everything that I do is for him. It's in honor of him. It's to mean that, his death wasn't in vain, and that it had impact on other people's lives. So, that's super important to me as well. So yeah, he's had a massive impact on me.
I want to share a scripture with you. I hadn't read it and heard it in a long time, but it just struck me while we were talking. It's Romans 8:38. It says, "For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels or demons, neither present nor future, or any powers, neither height or depth or anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord." So, we think that death separates us from stuff like that, but nothing nothing separates us from God for those who, are in a relationship with him. So Jacob was created by him at creation from my perspective, and I think that's where he's at waiting for you. I'm happy to hear you on this journey because that tells me you're going to get to have.
Let me tell you about the start of my after Jacob died, because this is something that I've spoken about a lot with faith specifically. Is after Jacob died, a church pastor named Nathan, I remember his name, came in to the hospital. I was by myself. I was sat in this dark room, and there was light coming from the room next to me on the little sliver of the door, and they don't separate you in hospitals, and I could hear cheering on the other side because they just delivered a baby. Right. And Nathan walks in, and I'm in this really bad place because I can hear this going off, and I've just lost Jacob, I just held him, and the doctors are taking him away. And Nathan comes in, and I remember I said to him, he was the nicest man, and he's praying for me. He holds me, and I'm crying. And I feel so bad for this. I didn't say it in a mean way whatsoever, but I said, Nathan, if God existed, why would he have done this to me? Mm-hmm. And he didn't say anything, and he prayed. He sat there and prayed with me, and I've not spoke to him since actually, but I I just remember him coming into that room. Now I realize, now I have a different perspective. But at the time, that was a question I ran with for a good 4 or 5 years. And I started to realize that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing and helping other people if it wasn't for the loss of Jacob. But then the question developed to, well, God, if you were all powerful, why did you do this to me when you could have inspired me to do this and help other people and had that change and still not taking my son away from me? And I know that's just not the way the world works or
Sure.
that happens, but those had been the themes and the questions. And it was only until I'd spoken to Erwin that had started to shift. And it was the losing the resentment against the world, because another thing it felt like there was nobody to blame for Jacob dying. So I was just mad at the world. Like I was really angry at the fact that life could be that cruel. So yeah, they were like the difficulties I was wrestling with, and I still not settled today.
In 2007, I came home from my 8th and last deployment from Afghanistan. I dealt with debilitating panic attacks, anxiety, depression, and a very real battle with taking my own life and becoming another veteran suicide statistic. Amazing people came around me and helped me to get well. On the other side of that decision to get well, which included a restoration of my faith, becoming a Christian, and really understanding how to live my life in the life I was created to live through new purpose, I discovered a deep burden inside of me, and that burden was to pay it forward, to take the lessons of hardship, the lessons of moving forward, and pay it forward to the next person. That manifested in the founding of Mighty Oaks Foundation. That was almost 15 years ago, and over the last 15 years, we've been able to serve over 500,000 warriors through resiliency programs at Mighty Oaks. Our recovery program, our legacy program, has over 6,000 graduates. This year, we'll serve over 1,000 people at our recovery programs and pay for every single active duty service member, veteran, first responder, and spouse that wants to attend, including airfare for their travel. Mighty Oaks is an incredible organization with an incredible team. In addition to the recovery programs, Mighty Oaks goes to Washington, D.C., and I testify before Congress and Senate. I've spoken to presidents to make sure that our military warriors have the option to have faith-based care. The last thing that Mighty Oaks does is international programs. Go around the world to our allied partners and take those same principles and programs that we have here for our U.S. service members and make them available to our allied partners around the world. If you or someone you know is struggling with anxiety, depression, PTSD, suicide ideations, anything that may be related to your role in the military or as a first responder or a spouse of, contact mightyoaksprograms.org and get plugged in today. You don't have to do it alone. You were never meant to do it alone, and Mighty Oaks is here to support you. If you want a great organization to support, mightyoaksprograms.org needs your support. We'll do $8 million in programming for free this year to our military and first responder communities, and we need your help to do it. Our warriors deserve a grateful nation to welcome them home and provide the support they need to move forward in their lives that they were created to live. Thank you. I had been asked this one time, this man named Dave Reaver, I was going through a lot of grief, and he said, and I asked the same question, why would God have, I faced so much loss, friends, family, I faced so much loss, and I was like, if God loved me, like, why would he? And he's like, do you really think God did those things? You think God like struck down your friends, your family, your brother, like Foster Harrington? Like, you think God struck them? I'm like, well, no. But the question you have is like, could he have stopped it? I'm like, yeah, like, and we said this earlier, like if God hung the universe, if he's created me and created all things, if God, the Bible says it, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, like that means if you believe that, the first 10 words of the Bible, if you believe that means God is sovereign, and it means God's in control of everything. So could he have stopped it? Of course he could have. So if he could have stopped it, then why didn't he? And he's like, that's your question. And I'm like, yeah, that's, and it kind of angered me. I'm like, yeah, that's my question. Why didn't he? If he could have stopped it, why didn't he? And he said, because he knew he could trust you with that pain to do something with it. And it really, really struck me. And like, because at that time I was getting to where I am now. And I've been able to use those things, those hardships that like crushed me, at one point and go through those other side of those things and be able to use them to, reach so many people. And I say that very humbly. Like I believe God's been able to allow me the opportunity to share these stories and watching where you are now, like you're about to do what you're doing, carrying that stone across, that's going to reach and touch so many people. So, if I could replicate that to you, maybe, and I don't know, maybe God knew he could trust you with that weight.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say it. I feel that, I do genuinely feel that. I think that nobody is dealt the hand that they can't handle. And I think that everybody is given the opportunity to bear a situation that could help other people and have a massive impact on people. We spoke about this actually yesterday, and it was with Rudy Reyes, and we spoke about this situation, and his partner Jade explained about the story of David and Goliath, and David had hit Goliath with the
stone,
the stone,
slinging a stone,
and afterwards the sword that was there to kill David, the thing that was created to destroy him, he took a hold of that. David took a hold of this sword and he used it to liberate other people.
Yeah.
And she likened it to my grief and the situation that I'd been through, and said, you've been through this difficult situation, this real hardship, and you've managed to get through to the other side. The thing that was supposed to kill you and destroy you, you've survived, and now you have this special gift that you can take around and help other people with.
Yeah.
And it resonates with me, and it's funny because it's something that I've told other people, but when it's hard when you reflect on yourself, isn't it? To be as objective. But I do believe, especially this is why we're doing the Stone Run, I do believe the story with Jacob and the journey that I've been on is helpful to other people who are going through a similar loss. So, at the bare minimum, I want to share to be able to help those people.
Yeah.
I think that's the same for everybody. Like, if you've been through something really difficult and a tough situation, you have the ability to be able to help people in that same situation, which is just unbelievable power. Like, it's so magnificent that you'd have that opportunity to take away suffering from other people.
Without our hardships, what lessons and wisdom will we have to give anyone?
It's so true. Exactly. Yeah.
You would have nothing. You would have nothing to offer. Without your hardships.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of people look at maybe the success where you guys are right now. There's a lot of people that aspire to be where you are. I mean, me with this show, I'd love to be, where you guys are right now. So a lot of people like looking at you guys, and sometimes people, whether it's for whatever reason, jealousy or envy or just naiveness, will say, man, look how lucky those guys are. Like, they just kind of fell in their lap. And there's a book called The Myth of the Overnight Success. Have you heard this book?
No, but by the title, I get it. Yeah.
The premise is that, you just wake up and you're lucky. Like, there was no hard work, right? The myth of the overnight success is that people see the success. They don't see the failures and the hardships and the grind. They don't see all that part.
Yeah.
So, what's the Mulligan Brothers journey? Was there like hardships to it? Was it
the most amount of hardships? Yeah. Mulligan was almost collapsed so many times. Like, we've been in dire situations where we've not had enough money. We've invested way too much into a situation, and it's almost collapsed the whole company. And I'll talk to a couple of them situations, but that is what makes it worth it. Like that difficulty, the obstacles. I know people say this all the time. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Sure.
But that is what gives you the edge. I say this all the time. There is a lot of advice out there at the moment from social media influencers that you don't need to work hard, you need to work smart. And I understand that saying, and I think it's true somewhat, but it depends on the position that you're in. It usually comes from upper class, maybe silver spooned, not to be offensive to any of these people,
sure,
but situations where if you fail your business, you can go back to mommy and daddy and you've got a house over your head. It doesn't mean you can't feed your kids. It doesn't mean that you're going to be out on the street, so you're going to have to work a minimum wage job. You've got some kind of backing where you can make smarter decisions. When you come from a council estate, government housing, or poverty, and you're risking everything for a business, you can't make mistakes. You can't, there's all these things that have to be on point. And the one thing that I think you get an edge on everybody is if you're hardworking. If you've got a really strong work ethic, if you're willing to wake up every single morning, put absolutely everything into it, you can have an edge on everybody at that lower level. And it's super important because we're told to work smart, but if you're in a position where you've got money and you've got back in, work smart, fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're in a position where you've got nothing, you got to work hard and you've got to work smart.
Yeah.
But get the work hard part right first. Yeah. Super important and overlooked. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people who were in the similar situation that I was in growing up and when we were first starting businesses, they think that they can get the same kind of backing as somebody who's got connections because they've heard it on social media. I'm going to go to a bank, I'm going to get money, I'm going to get this. It's not going to happen, The cavalry's not coming. That's something we hear quite a lot. And it's true if you're in that situation. The cavalry is working extremely hard. So we had loads of situations where that, we were impacted by business failings, no money, we didn't have a trust fund, we didn't have, failure meant working to minimum wage jobs. That's what it was. And what we did to combat that is accept it. This is the reality. This is the hand we're playing with is we go back to working minimum wage jobs. And there's a specific situation in 2018, the banks wouldn't fund us at all. We tried all this. The banks wouldn't fund us. It's a YouTube business. It's a stupid idea. You've got no credit scores, you've got no financial backing, you're from a council estate, and you've worked minimum wage jobs your whole life. So YouTube started doing really well for us, and we started to get sponsors, and we started to work the business really well, and we started to get money. So we went to the banks, we said, hey, look, we've got some history. He says, no, still, you guys aren't allowed our money. So eventually we saved up enough money, we bought the studio, and we put everything on this one hand to buy this studio and to launch the company. After that happened, we lost all our YouTube revenue. All our content got blocked. And
how'd that happen, by the way?
So that was people claiming the videos. So we spoke about this earlier, but malicious claims, competition, certain just things like normal things in business. It happens on YouTube as well. And we lost all revenue streams for 3 months at one point. And we were renovating the studio that we just purchased and put all our money into.
We're talking probably at that time a lot of money.
So it was
good revenue.
Yeah. We put into the studio. We put in and this is a lot of money for us. It was $320,000 in cash that we had. Everything we'd put into this to build this studio out because the banks wouldn't give us anything. So and it was every single last penny we had.
Right.
So we were sat in this big empty building. And we had ambitious goals. I had the base of a basketball court built because we were building a basketball court in the studio, which fortunately is there to this day. But at the time, it was half built, and I'm sat on this floor. My brother's sat on the floor, and we've got this little triangle going, and we're looking at each other, and we know, there's no promise of getting the YouTube channels back, the sponsorships back, and we all look at each other and says, "What are we going to do?" And because we had a purpose, because we had hard work ethic, we figured out that if we worked, worst case scenario, minimum wage jobs, we could still produce inspiring content. We'd probably have to eventually sell the building, but we could still do the purpose of the company, which was to inspire change. So, we made a decision there and then that we would work our asses off and we'd work jobs. We'd get back on our feet. We'd get the YouTube channel back and we'd get the sponsorships back and we'd continue doing this. And just through that conversation, I think a few days later, we had the revenue back, we had the sponsorships back. And I think it was an ultimate test. I think that's been the hardest test of all because we had an opportunity to, we're from no money. We could have sold the building, had 100K each, gone on with our lives, not done YouTube and just
cash out.
Cash out, yeah. And be, for us, 100K would have been a ton of money. And, we all decided against it and we said, we're going to work minimum wage and if we have to, we'll sell this and we're going to produce inspiring content. And we're going to keep on a mission and try and help people. So, it always works out if you've got passion and purpose, in my opinion. It doesn't matter what scale you do it on. If you've got, you can always do it and you can always work towards it. And for us, that did start with working less than minimum. We used to do laboring jobs whilst we were creating the content, and that's how we've always done it. Like whatever we can do to make this mission happen, will make it happen. And that's where it comes back to the hard work is if you have something you want to do, you can start right now, and you don't need the resources of all these people that are on YouTube and on social media telling that you do need to go to the banks and all this kind of stuff. You can just work your ass off and make up for that gap with hard work and paying sweat equity, do it that way.
I'm a big believer in hard work. Look,
man.
I've gotten to do I've been blessed to do a lot of things in my life, and there's nothing that I'm proud of in my life that didn't come on the other side of hard work.
Yeah.
Falling on my face and getting back up again and just pushing, grinding. Like there's nothing about you in my life that didn't come on the other side of that.
You're a great example of working hard and working smart. And this is what I say to people is I'm not saying that working smart isn't needed or required. It's very, very important. I just think in your beginning phases, especially when you are from a crappy situation, you need that element more than anything. Like that's the bare minimum. And if anything's ever given me an advantage or an edge in life, it was just that I was willing to outwork anybody all the time. That goes for the world record stone lift. It goes for this, this stone lift we're doing at the moment. It goes for business. Like anything, hard work gave me the edge, and then the rest is coming through smarts, decisions, my setup, foundations, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, more and more people like advanced technology, human networking, just the access to the internet and growing like digital networks. This is giving people, not just in the YouTube space, but it's giving people more opportunity for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So more and more people are stepping into entrepreneurship, and people think, oh, if I work for myself, it's going to be easy. And it's like, oh, it's so much harder, but it is worth it.
It's more rewarding.
But you got to be willing to work hard. And I think it's important to hear this from you.
Yeah.
For people to go into entrepreneurial efforts knowing you should know in advance it's going to be hard. If you know in advance it's going to be hard, you're prepared for it. But if you have this like peachy dream of it being like easy and I'm going to end up like with 2 million YouTube followers, and then when it gets hard, you wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah.
Then you just give up. But if you know in advance it's going to be hard, then you're prepared for that storm.
I say to everybody, because we get a lot of people saying, how do I do this? How do I get into the YouTube business? I always say to them, give it, 1 or 2 years of making the best content you possibly can and expect no money. And if you can do that, I promise you'll be rewarded on the other side. And what I mean by that is not that you're going to be financially rewarded. If you are creating content passionately, you're going to be rewarded by 2 years worth of content and a body of work that you've created that had purpose behind it. That's the reward. You're lucky if you get the money, and you definitely can get the money. Like, don't get me wrong, 2 years, and if you were doing 2 years of consistency, you would eventually, in my opinion, build a YouTube channel or a social media platform that would allow you to do that. But it's not promised.
Right.
And this is another thing that we I don't think is spoken about enough is promise of success. So this idea that people look at like LeBron James or, athletes or successful people, businessmen, whatever it is, and they'll see their results and they'll say that someone will look at you, Chad, right? And they'll say, he's got all this nice stuff. He's got these businesses, he's got a nice home. I'm willing to work what you work now for what you have. Mm-hmm. But you did it without the promise of that reward. And that's the thing of trying to become successful is there is no promise of outcome. You are not promised what Chad has. So you have to do all the work and then hopefully at the end of it, you get it.
Yeah, it's a risk.
It's a massive risk. And people, the way people see it in their heads is they're like, I'm happy to play basketball for 8 hours a day like LeBron James for 50 million, whatever it is. But he did it with no promise. He did it with the risk of injury. He did it with the risk of not getting selected or whatever it is. And that element added in there makes it so much more complicated. That's why you don't sleep at night. That's why you work 14 to 16 hours a day. That's why you're willing to put absolutely everything into it, because in a lot of, I'm motivated by success, but I'm massively motivated by not failing. I do not want to fail this. And that's the most important. This has to work for me. I don't have another option. There's no career for me.
I love that. I actually love that you say that, because nothing beats somebody being hungry.
Yeah.
And
most important.
There's no plan B. There's no egress. There's no.
Exactly that. Yeah.
No escape pod. I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, all in. Yeah. Always. Yeah.
There is something I'm gonna say that's probably unpopular. People won't like them, that I'm going to say it. Is there's this lie that we tell kids a lot, like you can be anything you want to be. Mm-hmm. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just not true.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be LeBron James.
Yeah,
I'm 5'4", right? Like we all have different gifts and talents. So I think people oftentimes don't make a fair assessment of what they're good at and what they're gifted at, and they try to work in areas that are outside their gifting and talents because they've seen someone else and like, I love what that guy's doing. I want to do that, but it's just outside of their talents. There's a lot of things that I look at that I would love to do.
Yeah,
but I know that I'm not.
That's something I've learned. That's something I've learned with age because I met Muggsy Bogues. Do you know Muggsy Bogues?
Who is he? I know the name. And, okay.
5'4".
Yeah.
NBA player. So I met him. He was one of the first interviews we ever did.
Yeah.
I met him and I thought to myself, anybody can achieve anything in life. If Muggsy Bogues can make it to the NBA, because I tower over him.
Sure.
You know, and I was training to get into the NBA myself, and you know, I came no way near. You know, no way close. So I met Muggsy Bogues. I was like, anybody can make it. If he can do it, anybody can. You know, what I started to realize is Muggsy Bogues is an athletic phenom. Like he is an absolute freak of nature. Like he can jump. Like he's got
not every 5'4" is him.
Exactly that. But I think as kids, I think it's very, very important to have limitless dreams and think that you can be an astronaut, president, NBA. Because I think if you have that unwavering dream as a child, you start to pursue it. And with that pursuit becomes discipline, hard work, dedication. At some point, you need to come to the realization that you're not going to make it to the NBA or you're not going to be an astronaut or whatever it is. Yeah. However, the skills you've developed in pursuing that actually start to transfer to other things. And this is why when people say to me, how do I find my purpose? A lot of the time I advise them to live with purpose, you know, live a purposeful life. So whatever you do, whether it's working at the grocery store or I don't know, whatever endeavor it is, do that passionately and with purpose. And you'll start to find out that you feel that you have a purpose, that you have a passion. And everybody does. I think most jobs, or if not, I'd say most jobs are very important to society, and you can start to invest in that and have purpose. And eventually, through living through that way, you might find something else. For me, I was going to the NBA.
Yeah,
I didn't see that I was going to become a filmmaker and a director. I didn't see that, but because I had so much discipline and passion to get to the NBA, when I eventually turned to this, and I found actually I enjoy this much more.
You took those disciplins here.
I took it exactly there. Yeah. I guess it's the same with jiu-jitsu and taking that to business and those lessons. I agree with you. You know, not everybody's built for it, and it's something I think you need to learn with age. Though I think it's good to live passionately. I agree. You got to dream. I think you got to dream limitlessly as well. I think that's a really important thing. To have no ceiling to what you can achieve. And again, if you're from a situation like that we were from, dreams are beat out of you. You know, a lot of the time, the people you're surrounded by are telling you that the limit for you is a laborer, and that's what I believed for a large portion of my childhood. You know, that's what I thought I was going to get a good laboring job, which I don't sniff my nose at all, don't turn my nose at a laboring job at all. But that's what I thought the roof was for me. Right. Where it could have been owning a building firm or, whatever it is. So,
I do strongly believe that everybody can be great at something.
At something,
You can be, so, find those gifts and talents. And,
100%,
dive in. But I encourage everyone to, especially kids, man, dream big.
Dream big, yeah. And have fun with it, man. How big can you dream? It's important.
But hey, speaking of hard work, because, man, I'm so in line with you with hard work. Like if I lost everything tomorrow and I turned sweeping floors tomorrow, I'm going to be the best floor sweeper.
Yeah, man.
That's what's going to get me.
Yeah.
That's what's going to get me back.
Yeah.
Get me back and get me. But you talked. I think you and I really, as we got to know each other, we really share this. Like we probably other people maybe identify us as workaholics.
Yeah.
I think it's just for me and hearing you, like and I heard you talk about this on another podcast before. Just like your passion and joy for what you do just drives you to 14-hour days.
Yeah.
And it makes you productive and it makes you successful. And there's a lot of good that comes out of that. And you find a lot of value out of that, but the people around you suffer because it's a trade-off.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me because I love what I do so much that I work 24/7 if I could. And I don't feel like I'm working at all because I just love it. But the people around me are affected by it.
Yeah.
And it's been a balance I've tried my whole life to balance, and I still don't have it figured out yet. So,
same situation. Like I'm trying to find a balance with it. The most most important reason why is my son, and that he's become a big part of that. So I dedicate time for him, and I realize that the passion, being passionate, is very important to me. If I can be a passionate father, it still benefits me. It's still an important thing. I've also started to realize with my son is that I really want to teach him to be happy. And when he's older, I want him to teach him how to pursue what he wants to pursue and be great at what he wants to be great at. The way I lead example with that is to do it myself. So, he sees me pursuing these things passionately. He sees his dad happy and trying to impact the world positively. That to me is, a big teaching point for my son as well.
And how old your son?
He's 7.
7, okay.
Yeah, but it's tough. It is tough. I don't know if I'll ever find a balance with it. And I find myself surrounded by people who understand that more. Mm-hmm. I've got some of my best friends are like us. My partner, she's like me, and she gets me. And she's the same. My sister, who's like my best friend, she's the same. And that mutual understanding. I kind of thrive off as well. Yeah, which is probably bad for the people on the outside of that, but like the people who get it, like I really bond well with, because I'm like, yeah, we're gonna kick ass there. I'm gonna try and kick more ass than you're kicking. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's I've not found a balance. I don't know if I ever will, but I love what I do, so I'm happy about it though. In a way, it's difficult.
Seen some miscarriages along the way. I mentioned my
which is really tough. Yeah, I've experienced a miscarriage as well. It's really tough.
It was tough for us, but and I I don't want to minimize it at all, but when one of the ladies who works with us, her name's Natalie. She helps us with some content writing. I never in my mind like contrast a miscarriage to and me and Kathy had one as well early on. I never identified that with comparing it to a stillborn. And then this lady on our staff, she was so excited. It's gonna be her 5th kid, so she has, and not only was she excited, but her siblings were excited. They all went to the hospital to celebrate their brother or sister coming into their family. It was a boy, so their brother coming into the family, and we were just like, it was a planned delivery,
guaranteed,
and so I was like shocked when we found out she had the stillborn birth, and I realized like how, miscarriages are hard, but when you're expecting the delivery that moment, and you're going to the hospital to celebrate a birth and a life coming into your family, like that level of disappointment. And it really like, that was my first experience with it. It really like shocked me, like at how deep of an impact it was on her, and how it impacted her kids. And I really thought about it then when I read your story and heard about your story, how common, I haven't done the research on this, how common are
so in the UK, the UK is actually one of the worst in the developed world. It's 4 in every 1,000, so 1 in every 250 births. In the US, I think it's a bit better, but yeah, it's to me that's a lot. That's quite a lot. And I don't know the textbook definition, but I held Jacob. He's a baby. Like I get to hold him. I get to do skin to skin with my son. For me, the way I see it is, I tell people is his eyes just didn't open. I held him. He was there. I could feel the warmth of his body. I could hold his hand. But yeah, he was dead. And stillbirth's a really unique situation that I think causes a lot of issues. And because it's not spoken about, I don't think we know how to deal with those issues fully. I went to this group. It's called SANDS, SANDS. So if people wanted to it's a British charity. I'm starting to work with them actually at the moment, and they help with stillbirth. And I went to this group, and it was like, I'd never been to one of these meetings before. It was like an Alcohol Anonymous kind of meeting. Like everyone sat round in this circle, and it'd probably been 2 weeks since Jacob had died. And I'd felt no emotion at all. Like I couldn't. It was like I couldn't cry, couldn't be happy, nothing. And I felt so guilty about this because I thought I'd be really sad. Right. And the moment he died, I was, devastated. It was, but I think it was so much that my body was protecting me from feeling it, so I couldn't feel anything. And I went to this meeting with the intention of speaking to these people and asking them about it. And so I went to this meeting, and there was some fathers around there and stuff. And there was everyone went round and spoke about their child and their story. And there was a guy next to me with his wife, and they spoke about their son. And he said, our child, he was he was alive for 2 weeks. We got to speak to him and to see him, and then he spoke about how tragic it was when he passed. And I instantly was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I couldn't even imagine what that was to deal with, like seeing your child for 2 weeks and then to lose them. And then he said, oh no, he said, I feel much worse for you. You didn't even get to see your son's eyes open. What I would have given for those 2 weeks. And to me, like, looking back, I'd have given anything to see Jacob's eyes open. And it's that unique position of stillbirth. I always thought that, losing a child is horrible. With stillbirth, you lose every single day. Every single day you could have had, you lost as well. So yeah, it's very difficult to explain that to people. And that group was amazing for me, actually. Another couple had said to the father that I'd not felt anything. He said, "Oh, I felt the same way. It lasted 2 years," and I was like, "Oh crap, it's not good. I don't want to feel like this for 2 years." And he said that his father eventually came round to his house 2 years later, knocked on the door, and said, "I'm so sorry for what happened to you." And his dad hadn't mentioned it to him for 2 years because he couldn't cope with it. And he collapsed to the floor and started crying. And then it all came back to him. And on that drive back home from the group, I started crying and I felt everything. And then from that moment on, it would be, there'd be spurts of, I couldn't feel anything, but I would burst out of my sleep screaming. Or if I wasn't bursting out of my sleep screaming, I would wake up and the pillow would be wet and I'd have tears like all in my face, and my partner would say that I've been sobbing all night. So my body went from transition through saving moments of grief and discomfort for when I was asleep. So but the group helped massively. Sharing it eventually unlocked that and allowed me to sort of get through it and sort of start to process it, I think.
So many different ways to cope, and definitely groups and not only like-minded, but people who are sharing these common experiences.
Understood.
It's very important. Guys, if you need a red dot for a pistol, if you need a scope for a rifle, if you need binos, rangefinders, even cool clothes, anything you need in the realm of optics, you have to check out Vortex Optics. Before I chose to lock arms with Vortex to be a sponsor for this show, I went down and spent time with them, toured their facility, met some of the owners of the company, Shamus, the vice president there. Amazing human beings, just great people. These are great people who build some of the best products in the realm of optics. And not only that, they provide incredible training at their facility in Madison, Wisconsin. They have the nicest range that I've ever been to, and incredible training there. So they're not just providing products, they're providing training and services on how to use those products. I love Vortex Optics. It is my optic of choice, and you can check them out at vortexoptics.com. Someone in that position could grieve and move on and try to press forward, or you could do something with it, and you're doing something with it. You started the Jacob Mulligan Charity, and you broke the world record for the Atlas Stone, and now you're gonna do. We mentioned it in the bio. You're gonna do the heaviest marathon, carrying 220-pound stone, and then you're gonna get that stone cut in the Jacob's tombstone, and then carry another 450 miles. And so I want people to know why you're doing that. The kind of mission behind the charity and why you're doing that. It's not just bring attention to your situation. You're doing it for a bigger purpose. And
the day after Jacob died, I was walking through the hospital, and the woman said, and this is just the way my mind works. Right. She was like, "How you feeling?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to go run 100 miles for charity to raise money for stillbirth." She was like, "Okay, just take some time."
Yeah,
like you don't need to be doing that right now. And I was like, no, but I need people are going to be feeling how I'm feeling right now, and they're going to go through what I'm going through. Like, I want to have impact. I want to change the way people see this, and help people. And so that was from the get go that I felt that. 8-9 years later, I've actually managed to do it. So there was a big journey in between that and this was, again, speaking to Erwin McManus, that had enough impact on me to be able to process it and get through it, and actually be able to start to share. So I knew that I wanted to do something. I knew I was approaching that time period where I was in the position that I could do something. And with stillbirth, the British government will cover a funeral, a basic funeral. What they won't cover in that budget is a headstone. And because of that, what happens is if I'm provided with the funeral cover, I get a grant. I go to the funeral home, I've got a grant. They say, this is the basic package you're going to get. However, this is a headstone, it's £2,000. You need a headstone for your child. Otherwise, their graveside is going to be blank. And you start to feel really guilty. You start to feel crappy. You start to... guilt is the biggest word, I would say. And then they also... The funeral homes in the UK, I shouldn't harp on about this too much because it's not about this, but they make more money on children and baby headstones. Their margins are higher than they are on normal headstones. So none of this sat right with me. And I knew that every time I went up to Jacob's grave, he didn't have a gravestone. I didn't have enough money at the time after Jacob passed to do it. And since then, it's just I've never had one on there because I always kind of felt that I was going to do what I'm going to do. But all the other graves, around 50 to 60% of the graves at the baby cemetery don't have gravestones, So it wasn't just me who, you're expecting a child, so you have all your money into clothes and cots and cribs, and the last thing you're thinking of is paying £2,000 or £3,000 for a headstone and getting exploited by some company. So I think a lot of people are unable to make that decision, and financially it's too much of a burden where they can't cover it. So I kind of knew it wanted to raise money for headstones. I started the Instagram page about a year before I found the stone. And I was up in the Scottish Highlands. I was filming a documentary up there. And I see this stone on the beach. And it's this, I say a stone, it's like this huge boulder rock.
Yeah, rock,
it's
big
massive,
rock, yeah.
It's this huge thing. And I'm with Neve, actually. And we've got the cameras because we're filming this documentary. And I was like, hey, let me just go. I stop in the middle of the road. It's this horrendous road. It's super dangerous. I pull up. She said, what are you doing? I'm like, I've seen a rock. She's like, what are you on about? I was like, I got an idea. Like, just follow me down here. There's about an 8-foot wall. I jumped down to the river it's near Loch Ness. And I jumped down to the river and I see it. And it's just this perfect square. It's perfectly square. It's got a huge slab equal all the way around. And I said to Neve, that's his headstone. I can see it. Like, that's going to be his headstone. It's perfect. So I go to pick it up. I'd not long finished training for the Atlas stone, so I still had a little bit of stone lifting ability. Yeah. And it was so awkwardly shaped that it was difficult to lift. And I was like, wow, that's a heavy lump of rock right there.
Just give people context. At that time, you're 6'7", 360 pounds.
I was probably small at that point. I was probably 280 at that point.
Okay,
so
I'd
lost a lot. I went straight into losing weight, but I was still strong. But the problem occurred when I could lift it up. I got it to the edge of this 8-foot wall, but to press a 220-pound stone over an 8-foot wall, that's where the difficulty was. So we were there for a good 10, 15 minutes, cutting my fingers up. I almost fell over because it's unstable surface. And I was just hell-bent on getting this stone out of there. I don't know how I managed to do it, but I managed to lip it over the top of the wall, slide it on. And I've taken the stone to my friend's backyard who lives just like a minute away from there. And it sits there now. So this stone sits there. I took the measurements of the stone, weighed the stone, 220 pounds, and took a load of photos of the stone to find out what stone it is. And it's granodiorite. I think that's how you say it. And they used to use it for headstones. So this is a material they used to use.
Exactly what you need.
It's exactly what I needed. So, and again, all by chance, I just saw this square. Yeah. And that's where the plan kind of was born. And I was like, I want to carry that back to Nottingham on my own 2 feet. I don't want any assistance from a motor vehicle, from another person, from wheels, from leverage. I want it strapped to my back and I want to carry it the whole way. So that kind of, the idea was born.
So where it naturally sat,
you've
moved it from where it naturally sat to your friend's yard.
Yeah. So it's not going to get moved by anything other than me. Yeah. And the stonemason's 26.2 miles from where it sits right now. Okay. So it's a marathon. We're extending it a little bit, but it's a marathon distance. So I'm going to do, a little bit more of a length so I can make it a marathon distance, so we can try and get a bit more media traction from it being the world's heaviest marathon. It'll be cut down to the 60, 70 pound stone, which again, that's going on the density of the stone. The measurements that I have, it should be around 60 or 70 pounds. Hopefully we're not off too much, because that's going to be horrible 450 miles home. And 450 miles over 10 days. And 10 days because I can't take more than 10 days off work. So that's it. So that's why. Yeah.
So 10 days, you're in a time crunch, and that 450 miles is to get it from the stonemason to your home?
Yeah. Stonemason to Jacob's resting place.
Okay.
So we're going to, over 10 days, run it back as fast as possible. I'd like to do it in less than 10, but I'm being told that if I'm going to survive it, it's probably better to do 10. Because the world's heaviest,
45 miles a day.
45 miles a day, yeah, that's what we're looking at. And I get to take it all the way back to Nottingham. I'm going to be, meet with everybody once we're back in Nottingham, and I'm going to take the last 2 miles to Jacob's resting place by myself and place a stone. And I've got that vision in my head, and I've got that vision in my head in training. And the training's really brutal. And I need to speak to you about how best placement of the stone and all that kind of stuff, because you probably got some good advice for me.
Yeah.
But at the moment, the way I've got it is, the only way I've known to do it is I've got a big, huge wooden board, big leather belt ripped across my waist, and then some like car jack, car towing material over my shoulders with a little bit of padding. And, my back's getting cut up. Every single time we do the walk, it bleeds. I've tried using Bergens. I bought a few Bergens, but they just fall apart each time I've loaded the weight, because it's the way the weight's placed. It's not spread throughout the pack. It's just awkward, so it starts to rip or damage parts of the pack. So we've gone through 2 Bergens at the moment, but it's just agony. And there's something in it for me. There is the idea of getting it back that I absolutely love, but there is something very masochistic in me that. It's like he deserves something that put me through that. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it does.
The trial of doing this and the difficulty of doing this is the price I'm willing to pay to make sure my son has a stone. And that's I like the idea of him watching me do that and thinking, "You're crazy, Dad. Like, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? So there's a part of it that's that. Again,
you got that for you and for Jacob, and that's gonna be special for the two of you. But it's going to impact so many more people, and so many more parents are going to be able to put headstones on their. So if anybody is inspired by this and thinking, "Wow, someone needs some parent deserves to be able to have a headstone for their," how could they? Is there a way they could donate charitably, contribute to this? How can people participate?
So just on where the funds at the moment, we're just trying to raise £25,000. So. We're giving away an ice bath. The ice bath I've spoken about?
Yeah.
We're giving away one of them. So every £5 donation gets you a raffle into the giveaway for the ice bath as well. Brand new from this amazing company called Brass Monkey, who've just donated to give it away.
Yeah.
But half the money is going to go to headstones themselves. There's a headstone company I'm working with who are doing it at cost price.
Yeah.
So half the money will go directly into the hands of parents. The other half of the money is going into tooling, so sandblasters and CNC machines, so we can produce the headstones indefinitely. That's the goal. If we can produce a headstone for £50, which is what it will cost raw material wise with volunteers, we can, on a small scale, solve the problem, at least locally, and we can try and replicate that in other places. And then we're also trying to appeal to the government to include it in their budget, which is the ultimate goal, just include the headstones in the budget to fix the situation. So if people wanted to donate to that, there's a GoFundMe page set up, or there is Brass Monkey giveaway on MulliganBrothers.com. So the pool where the money goes is the same place, but there's 2 ways of doing it. You can just donate on the GoFundMe, which we're getting some support on, and then the giveaway obviously is a little bit more attractive because you get something in return.
Can we do something from? Can we do item the auction off too?
Oh, brother, that'd be amazing.
We'll do something. We could pick something out from Vortex.
That'd be amazing.
We'll be totally behind it.
I mean, it'd help with our American audience because the Brass Monkey Ice Bath, we're only allowed to run raffles. It's a gambling thing. We're only allowed to run raffles in the UK. Yeah. So the raffle wouldn't extend to the US at the moment because we'd have to go through different laws in the US and stuff.
Yeah, we'll do like a high-end Vortex optic.
That would be incredible.
And get people, like the American audience would definitely.
Oh, bro, I appreciate that so much. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Let's just consider it done. Let's do it.
Oh, man. And then if you know somebody who's experienced stillbirth, if you drop me a message, we want to get a list going. Like, we want to start getting that list going of people and start getting those headstones to families. So that's the ultimate goal, you know, to try and solve that issue. Because there's some people who it is part of their grieving process. Some people, right, you know, it might not be, but there are some people I know, like me, I've felt guilty for years about it. And people shouldn't feel that way. You know, especially loss of a child, like, we should be supporting them, not, you know, they shouldn't feel rubbish about it, so.
But we talked about it already, but there's so many people that struggle with loss. One thing that we know is death is certain, so everyone's going to experience either their own death or more likely going to experience someone else's death at some point in your life. What would you, you know, from what you've been through and what you're doing now, what would you say to someone that's dealing with the grief and loss of, we've talked about it some, but last thoughts to share with someone that's dealing with?
It's a long process. You know, we're almost 9 years later now. Yeah. And look, I'm running the whole country to deal with it with a stone on my back. So I think you got to find your coping mechanisms. You got to find support. I had my mom, you know, she'd experienced the same thing I'd experienced. You got to share. Don't be one of those people, in my opinion, who keeps it all inside. In fact, that would be the biggest advice I would say. In terms of dealing with the grief, find something, you know, whether it's work, passion, purpose, whatever it is, speaking to people, art, poetry, you know, all these different things can be helpful. The one thing I would advise, I guess, not to do is don't lock it away. This has been the worst thing I've ever done. I locked it away for a long period of time, and it spilled out in weird and wonderful ways all the time.
Yeah.
And grief, it will get you at some point. You know, you cannot lose a best friend, a child, a brother or sister, and just put it in a, you know, you can lock it away, but you're going to lose a part of yourself in doing that. And
it's going to catch up.
It's going to catch up with you. And, you know, you owe it to yourself at some point when you're ready to deal with it. Because, again, you can't lock away grief and loss of somebody. This is what I found out. You cannot lock away the grief and the loss of somebody and put it deep down in you and also experience the love for that person. You can't have it both ways.
Right.
I never have. If you're trying to suppress that kind of feeling, suppress those emotions of loss, you've also got to suppress pretty much everything else that surrounded that person, which is just, it's not worth it, in my opinion. It's painful to go through it, but it's not worth it. And now I've realized with Jacob, like, unlocking that and feeling that love is like, you know, that's so much more powerful, so much more rewarding. And it can be painful at times, but it's don't lock it away.
Some closing thoughts. I heard on one of your interviews, you said this older interview, you had a goal for Mulligan Brothers, and that goal was to reach half a billion views.
Yeah.
But you're what, 350 million?
The sad thing is
your goal is a billion views.
A billion views.
Okay,
so we worked out recently with the YouTube channels. We've passed a billion across all four of our channels. We had 4 channels at one point. But one of the channels we decommissioned.
Right.
And then one of the channels, we lost a few of our biggest videos. We had some videos on there that were like 18 million views.
Okay.
So we've kind of reached it, but I think the new goal now is 1 billion views on the documentaries.
Okay.
So like the pieces that we've done, the interviews, the podcasts, 1 billion views on that. So goal still stands. Probably moved the goal post a little bit on it, but the goal still stands. And we had 1 billion views on just one of our guests on Instagram, and you know those kind of numbers are not lost on me. That's incredible. And it does have true impact, and that's one person messaging me is enough, though. You know what, a billion views can be lost on me, but if somebody DMs me and is like, "Hey, that video that you did had changed me like this," that's the most valuable, I'd say. So,
man, I tell you that's what I love. That I get a lot of them, and I'm grateful I do. But each one I love when people say, "I heard you speak last week or a year ago or 5 years ago, and it impacted me in this way," and tell me a story or you know how a mother, like, I lost my son to PTSD, and I never thought I'd be hearing back, and he's read your book, and man, that's worth every single hour that I work. I love that
literally everything. And most people don't know Mulligan Brothers exists as a studio, but we had a letter come through, and we've had a lot of messages, but this was the first time receiving a letter, and it was at Christmas. Somebody had written a letter about it, how much it impacted their lives. It was from a military base actually in Germany, and he had to write a piece up, and he said he wanted to contact us and say how much it impacted him, and it helped his mental health. I can't tell you how happy I was.
Yeah.
Like, hearing that made me feel like everything was worth it. And we spoke today about accolades and BAFTAs and Oscars and all these kind of things that I really want to achieve. I know that none of those things have value in them in comparison to something like that. I'm aware of that. Yeah. I probably should tell myself a little bit louder.
Frame it and put it up somewhere.
Frame it and put it up somewhere, exactly, because that is the most important thing.
You would do that with the Oscar, right?
I probably would, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll give final thoughts to you to close out. You say, inspire change is like that's the main thing you speak about for the Mulligan Brothers. What would you say to trying to encourage those listening in this audience to not just be inspired, but actually to take inspiration and actually put it in action and make change in their life? What's a kind of final bit of advice for those listening to this?
The way I think people can lead a life that has massive impact on themselves is to serve others. Man, that's so good. That's my answer too. Yeah. That's my exact answer. And as I say that, that sounds almost faith-based as well. But it's when I heard this, I told this to somebody, when you're in the depths of a dark place and you don't know what to do and you feel lost, go out there and help somebody else. And in doing that, you'll help yourself. And I think it goes the same for, if you wanted to have change on your own life, or if you wanted to inspire change in your own life. For me, if you live with passion and purpose, you might not think it, but there is always somebody watching. It could be your neighbor seeing you work out on the park. It could be your child looking up to their mum sleeping on a sofa. It could be one of your comrades at war, whatever it is. Doing something with passion and purpose is very, very infectious. And if you are living with passion and purpose, you'll inspire somebody else. And that to me is the most important thing. Inspiring somebody else is enough to make movement in your own life, to have a massive impact. So yeah, serve others. That's super wise words. I would. That was the same exact answer I would have given. So awesome, man! Thanks so much for today. Thank you. It was so fun. Man. It's been amazing. Yeah. It's been I guess fulfilling for both of us because we like hard work. So it's been a nice long day. We have a lot in common, but and we got to get you back out to Texas to shoot your gun that you're leaving behind here. Is that mine? It just gets stored here. It's yours. I'm gonna hold it for you. I have to get residence here, man. Yeah. Thanks again so much. No, it's been amazing, man. All right, see you guys next week.